Welcome back, everybody. It is Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Tech Talk Live with Jiles McCoy. Now, tonight is a special episode. They're all special in their own way. They're all they're little gems and nuggets of awesomeness. But we're going to talk about a handful of things that I really, really like and really, really enjoy. And I've got a really, really awesome guest to join and talk about these things. So, first off, Roger, welcome. How are you,
Thank
sir?
you very much, Giles. Nice to see you again.
Good to have you on. So this is Roger Fortier. He works with HIFIMAN, and if you guys don't know HIFIMAN, they make the best hi-fi headphones available in the entire world because I said so. And they didn't pay me to say that at all, although I would gladly take the money. They're really good headphones. And we're going to talk all about the HIFIMAN brand. We're going to talk a bit about Roger. We're going to talk about their gear. And then we're going to slide over to the second segment of the show, and we're going to cover off on a topic that has caused some confusion and maybe consternation amongst people who are hi-fi headphone purchasers. And that is, what is the difference between open and closed back headphones, and why would you choose one or the other? And then to close out the show tonight, we're going to talk about something that I've been waiting for a long time, and that is Dune 2, the movie. I saw it, and it's spectacular. It is going to be spoiler season, so just get ready for that. I would assume that if you're here, you probably have seen it and have something to say or hear about it, because I got a lot to say. But let's go ahead and get started. Roger, all right, sir. Let's kick off with you. Maybe you can tell everybody a little bit about who you are and why they should care.
Who am I? My name is Roger Fortier. I'm with HIFIMAN, and truthfully, nobody really cares.
I care. I feel it in my heart.
Basically, I've been working with Dr. Fong, who's the CEO of the company, and we're a manufacturer of open-ended or open air headphones, open back headphones, the best way to describe it. When I joined the company, truthfully, I come from an audiophile background through many, many years dealing with ultra high-end audio products and dealt very little with headphones. When I hooked up with Dr. Fong and started this side of the business, I found out it was a lot of fun. It's the energy that used to be in the audiophile business. When I first joined it, long time ago, everybody wanted a stereo system. The TV and the computer and all that wasn't out like that. I mean, a big screen TV was 24 inches. And people wanted music in their house, and they were excited about buying a stereo system. That's the same energy that exists in the headphone community now. So when you go to a headphone convention, or you go to something like Can Jam or that, everybody's excited about music. Everybody's excited about hearing something new. And that's kind of what got me involved with the headphone business. And with the case of HIFIMAN, it's an open back design that became extremely popular. And basically, you were right. It is one of the top headphones out there that people are listening to.
Right on. Yeah. And in a minute, I want to talk a little bit about Can Jam and the shows and that kind of thing, because that's, it's a different kind of experience if you've not been to a headphone specific show. And I want to get your insight on that for people that might not have attended before, and why they should, right? Because I do agree, even in my short tenure on this earth, I can, I feel kind of a difference between, hi-fi from when I was like 10 years old, like 40 years ago, versus now. And, there's been a slight shift in, what people are looking for. But you're right. The headphones, it feels like over the last 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, there's even been a renaissance around headphones and popularity of headphones.
Yeah, I agree completely. Well, I think part of it is the phone, if nothing else. Almost everybody who buys a phone today is a smartphone. Mm-hmm. And majority of the smartphone come with headphones of some sort, earbuds or something like that. So they are getting exposed to having that earbuds in the gyms, while you're running, while you're exercising, coming with phones while you're commuting. It's getting people back into music because it's you're putting it on your head. And 9 times out of 10, if you talk to somebody who has a pair of earbuds or something like that, and you ask them if you had a chance to hear something better, would you? And would you be interested in purchasing or upgrading? And the answer is always yes.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with all that. And, I can't go anywhere now, particularly when I travel, without seeing someone who has got some super fancy headphones going on, right? I see stuff I've never heard of them before. And I look at this stuff pretty often and I get into it pretty deeply, but I'll be like, what the heck are those things? And I'm like, all right, okay. And you got to have a piece of luggage just for those headphones, right? Because they're on and they got like look like Frankenstein stuff coming out, and like the thing's way up here, and it's got like people really get deep into it. But let's get focused a little bit on HIFIMAN, right? So let's talk about the products that the company does carry, right? So we've talked a little bit about the open back headphone. So those exist. What else does you do closed back as well, right?
We have a couple models in closed back as well. You're right, but the majority of our expertise comes in the open back design. That took place almost 15 years ago, where all the headphones were basically closed back at that time. And the designers in the HIFIMAN factory, or the engineers, came with an open back design. And it's basically, in a nutshell, it's taking what would normally be a very small driver or something that produces the music that can be measured in a very small circle, and making a diaphragm on the inside that's several times larger. And by doing that, you're creating a much larger soundstage when you put it on your head. Because if you notice, that anybody who's wore earbuds or anybody who's worn over-the-ear headphones, the sound comes from the middle of your head.
Yeah.
And
it's in the ear. It's like
right there. You can point right to it, and you can say, "Oh, she's singing right there." With the open back headphones, because of the design and everything else, that goes away from that. It comes more in front, and it takes it away from being inside your ear. That type of technology is what really made HIFIMAN work, and it's what made it grow so big over the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, and just to reiterate that one more time, for me, that is absolutely a distinguishing feature and a must-have feature in a good set of headphones, right? I do not like the headphones that you put on, and then you have a little band that lives inside of your skull, and they're singing inside your skull, right? It's just not, it's not the same experience. There are folks that love that, right? But for me, I don't like it. And maybe I'm just chasing the experience of speakers in headphones. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the open back design really does create more of that realistic experience from my perspective.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it gravitated towards people, towards that. HIFIMAN has done a lot of designs over the last 15 years in a number of different avenues, along with the headphones and the open back designs that they've done with. Dr. Fong has also gone into designing a DAC. So there's what they call an R2R DAC that the company owns now, with some amazing features that take place in it. He's building amplifiers to drive headphones with, and being able to use along that line. So his company has grown by leaps and bounds over the last decade.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about that. And this is going to kind of slide into the what's new for HIFIMAN. So I guess the order of operations, so to speak, was headphones, right? And there's headphones for everybody, right? I mean, what are it's like $249, like the least expensive kind of model?
$149.
$149. Okay, so even less expensive than I thought. And then they get up into the pretty expensive stuff. I mean, not like $40,000, but I think there's like a $2,500 or $5,000 pair or something like that.
There's the top of the line in the open back is $6,000.
$6,000, right on.
Right.
And that's for the enthusiast aficionado, right? And
yes,
I've talked to people, and I've asked the question. Of course, this comes down to kind of subjective comparison. I said, hey, if you were going to buy top of the line HIFIMAN versus top of the line other stuff that might cost more, is there really a difference? And everybody's like, no, the HIFIMAN, it's they're there, right? That's what you
Yeah.
need. It doesn't really. You can spend more money if you want to, but that you're there. So that's pretty cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's it's a Sasvara is the name of the driver, and it's most people really consider that as the top of the pyramid. So it's something to be proud of.
Right on. And so let's just take a moment and say hi to everybody out there. A few people are starting to chime in. Hi-Fi Haven is here. So he's got hi-fi in the name, so he's probably a big fan of yours. And we got Adam Somer. There's a song by what's that old rap group that, and I think Brooklyn is in the title. The guys from New York that rap, the white dudes. The Beastie Boys. Yeah. Something something till Brooklyn. Who knows? Come on. Is there somebody out there that's watching that totally knows what I'm talking about with this old 80s rap? Anyway, welcome, Adam. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to pepper those in, and they don't necessarily have to be about headphones. We take all comers here. So if you come out of right field with, I don't know, well, why is my memory slow on my computer? Maybe we won't talk about that one, but if it's audio related, we got you covered. Now back to HIFIMAN. So they're headphones, all different ranges, and then you went into DACs, but you're also doing the headphone amplifiers now, right? And from my point of view, they're like four pieces. And tell me if I'm off base here, but to really have a setup to listen to headphones the way that you need to, you need, oh yeah, Adam, seriously, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. That's it. That's the song. I knew you'd get it. Eric is in here too. You got beat out, Eric. Sorry. Almost number one. You were literally in the same minute. Almost the winner. But so you need, and we'll work backwards from the head. So you need headphones of some kind. And then these are going to go into an amp to power them. So you need an amp of some kind. And then you go back typically to a DAC, and that's doing some kind of digital to analog conversion. And then you take a step back from there, and then you're at a source, right? And that could be a streamer, or it could be your phone. It could be, million. And so is that kind of the set of components that you see people with dedicated hi-fi headphone rigs using?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And the level of money or the level of that you invest into it will change a little bit, but the actual process is no different. So say for example, you might want to use, let's use my top of the line headphones as an example, the Sasvaras.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the top sounding headphones out there, but they require a tremendous amount of power to run, relatively speaking. So you're looking at those headphones with a really big amplifier. And obviously, if you can afford all of that, then you've got a really good DAC and a really good source to run it. Flip side of it is, if you go down the other end of the spectrum and you're dealing with a $149 headphone or $299 headphone, 9 times out of 10, your source is most likely your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You're streaming, whether it be Spotify or Qbuzz or Tidal or something along that line. And that may go into some type of a small DAC. It might be a DAC that you actually plug in on your headphones and then run it to the head, on your phone and then run it to the headphones, or it might go into a tiny little amplifier you might have on your desktop. So, but it's the same process. It doesn't change. It's just a question of dollars more than anything else.
Right on. And I've been surprised by some of these. What's the right term? Just call it a budget setup, right? A less expensive setup. The quality of sound that you can get out of modern day headphones, modern day DACs, modern day sources is pretty phenomenal. And you're correct that almost everybody already has a source,
right?
I mean, realistically, this is a darn good source when you use a little external DAC for, headphones in that $150, $200, $250 range. I mean, it's absolutely great. It's all built in.
Exactly. And you're getting a digital source. So it's like you said right there, it's a digital source. It's not a question of, gee, can I get a better bit than this? If you're downloading through Spotify $24.96, it's $24.96 no matter what you're doing.
That's right.
Okay, so
that's right.
It's what you do after that makes a difference. But you're right, it's a great source.
Yeah. And I guess the first point in the chain where things can change a little bit would be the DAC, right? And that output stage.
Right.
And then the amp, obviously. I mean, you could buy like esoteric weird amps, weird, like tubes and all kind, but you can just everything that you can do in like normal hi-fi, you can do in headphones. So that'll make some changes. But for me, the really big differentiator for sound is the headphone. That's, like 90, for me, it's like 90+% of the sound. Does that ring true with you, or what do you think?
It does. I mean, the headphones is your final point. It's like buying speakers for a stereo system. That's what you're actually listening to. So what you put in front of it will either make it sound better or sound worse. And as long as you've got something that's good to reproduce the music, then it's cannot be any better than what your source is. That's going to be your limiting factor. And
Gotcha.
usually in a lot of cases, it takes a lot to get to a point where the source is beyond what the headphones can reproduce.
Sure.
So it works along that line.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, getting to the back to the concept of new stuff, right? Now you have a couple of new amps that have been released, right? So
Correct.
the I took notes here somewhere. The EF 500 and then the EF 499, which is one behind, or the 500's one ahead. I mean, I don't know what happened to that one.
It's the little guy that just couldn't quite make
It
it.
almost it's like, come on, I can do it. I can do it. So tell me a little bit about these guys. And I've got a picture. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. And
Okay.
when I saw this, I was all like, I want it. I've never heard it, right? I'm like, but dang, look at this thing. That I think that looks good.
Doesn't that look nice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the 499. So I don't know
Yeah.
where the one got lost at, but you can't see it on the front of the unit. It looks like a 500 to me. No, that's very, very attractive looking piece of equipment. And you got the four. What do you call this? A 4-prong XLR? I'm not sure what the right term for that connector
It's a
is.
balance. Yeah, it's a balance connector. Basically, it's allows you to do either what a 3.5 connector, which is most common with most headphones, or you can do a balance connector, which gives you a little bit different signal separation and power.
Right
Um,
on.
the difference, really, what we discovered over the last year or so, is we came out with a headphone amplifier slash DAC. Oh, thank you, Hi-Fi Heaven. Um, Headphone slash DAC that you could put your headphones on a desktop. So it's an all-in-one type of thing. You could do a Bluetooth that ran to it, and you could just pick up your headphones and away you go. And it was really convenient on the desk. And that ran, at around $700. So people were looking for something that was a little less expensive, and that's where the 500 and 499 come in. The 500 comes way down in price and giving the opportunity to basically have a small unit on a desk, still using the HIFIMAN DAC, the Himalaya DAC, and then a small, nice amplifier on the inside. And if you look at it, it's upright, so you can actually put your headphones over the top of it.
Right. Oh
Uh,
yeah, you can use it as a stand.
yeah, exactly. So you
Yeah.
can use it as a stand, and it makes it really convenient on top of your desk, and you're not taking up a lot of space or having something that's just hanging or laying on top of your desk. And the 500 and the 499 both do the same thing. The biggest difference comes in the 499. Instead of using the Himalaya DAC, which is the HIFIMAN DAC, the 499 uses the Philip DAC. So
Okay.
that allows us to make a more affordable unit when we get into the 499 DAC. But again, it's the same concept, it's the same sound, it's the same convenience that we have with the units.
Right on. Talking about headphone stands. I mean, there's like a billion different options out there. But I was at IKEA of all places, and they had like a head.
Yes.
There's a plastic red and blue, and I think there's green head that was for your headphones. And I was like, I don't know where I would put it at, but I still might get one. I don't know, but
I,
funny.
I think that's amazing that you bring that up. I was in Montreal a few weeks ago, and there was a place that had those heads in a kind of they were the heads, but you could light them up from underneath.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So they were actually had headphone stands with different headphones, and each of the head was different colors,
That's
and
pretty
it
cool.
just looked so cool.
Yeah. Have you seen that picture? So they have these posters of Albert Einstein, and he's got his hair all crazy, and he's got his tongue out, doing
Yes,
that thing. So I saw a statue head that was made for headphones that was him doing like that, but they had done the hair so you could put headphones on it. So you'd put your headphones on Albert Einstein's head. I thought that was
oh,
pretty
that's
cool too.
great.
Yeah, there's a lot, all kinds of crazy stuff. We got a long time viewer, Mad Piranha is with us. I'm glad you caught it live too, man. So we changed up the night for this season. So last year in 23, we're actually doing this on Fridays during the daytime, and a lot of the regulars, right, had a hard time making it in. I was trying to kind of cater to the companies and like, okay, we'll do this while they're working and it's easier and that kind of thing. But I was like, no, this season, we're back. We're bringing everybody back again. So we're back at nighttime. So I'm glad to see some of the folks that dropped off a little bit because it was a bad time for them back with us again. So all right, so those are the two new amplifiers, DACs. And then you also have a couple of affordable headphone options that are on the newer side as well. Is that true?
TWSs.
TW. So tell me about what this is.
Okay. We got three TWSs. I'll just stumble a little bit here on that. Glow in the dark headphone scholars. Yep, I like that too. Basically, Dr. Fong and his engineering group came up with the original Savannah, and it's a stereo system in an earbud. Okay, it's the only one of its kind anywhere. You can't do it. Basically, because of the DAC itself, they were able to design a DAC that takes 1/10 of the power of a normal DAC. 1/10.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay. So if you look at a DAC and you put a small battery on it, that's the biggest drain right there. So you can put a DAC inside an earbud, but you get an hour, maybe 2 hours of time at max out of it. You just can't get any more out of it. With his new Himalaya DAC designed specifically for that, they can take the digital signal onto the Bluetooth chip, pull it out, run it through their own DAC, run it through their own amplifier, and run it to their own driver. So it's a stereo system built into an earbud.
Really?
Yeah, a complete stereo system in one little earbud. And
Nice.
it gives you a phenomenal sound. The resolution, the information, there's nothing else out there. There's nobody else that does that. Everybody else takes a signal, analog signal off the Bluetooth chip itself. This is just changing the whole world as we listen to buds.
Do you know the price point for that off the top of your head?
That particular one is $499.
That's not bad.
Okay, so that's the top of the line unit over there. The two new ones that we have, we went down in price to try to create the same idea. So we went down to $299 on another version that basically takes the same concept, but we're using a different chip and amplifier setup to do that. And you're getting a more affordable TWS. And then on the last one, because we're using our own driver and we wanted to bring the price under $200 down to $179, we are using the signal off the Bluetooth chip, which is what everybody else is doing. But it is our own dedicated driver that goes along with it. So you got three levels. But when you listen to that top of the line one, it's once you make the seal, the right seal with everything, it's an incredible sound.
So it's just all you need are the buds, and you pop them in, you got them charged. They Bluetooth to your phone or whatever,
and that's to your phone, and it can take 2496. So you can stream high resolutions, LCOS, right straight to the buds, and you get 2496 resolution right in the earbuds.
That's outstanding. All right, okay. All right, so before we get to the question of the day, a couple of more things that I want to talk about. So one, I did want to go just briefly touch back on CanJam, and for the folks that don't know, CanJam is cans, which are headphones, right? It's a show dedicated purely to, I don't know what's the right word, head-fi or headphone.
Head-fi is the right word. Is what most people
headphilia. I don't know. I don't know. Headphonephilia. But you go there, and what is it? Just 50 vendors or 100 vendors or 200 or just a scat of folks with everything that you could possibly imagine.
It is, yeah. Basically, what it is a consumer show for headphones, or I should say, consumer show for personal audio. This is
Okay.
the way we refer it, is personal audio. So you will see people, all the companies over there. And in the case here, it's in New York City at Times Square and Marriott, and it's on the 9th and 10th, Saturday the 9th and the 10th of March. And you walk into the ballroom, which is a very large ballroom, and in this case, they're sold out as far as vendors are concerned. And you have all your headphone manufacturers there, audition, where you can audition any headphone you want. You got people who have players there. You have people that have TWSs, in the ear, IEMs they call them. All these different things are available there, and they're all available for you to just come in and listen. Sit down in front and just put them on and see what you think, and move from booth to booth and talk to different people. You can see different little headphone amplifiers and everything. It's a great way to get exposed with this without, being committed to anything other than just the entrance fee. That's all it is. It's a wonderful experience, and you're going to see people so excited. Everybody gets
That's
excited
cool.
about listening to music, and it's full. It's very, very busy. People just come in from all over the country to listen to it.
That's
So
really
highly
cool.
recommended.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I mean, if you out there, whoever you are interested in headphones and you want to see things that you could never imagine existed, this is the spot. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be something there that you're going to go, oh, I
Yeah,
never, oh my goodness. Because there are some interesting designs. It's like when you go to a hi-fi show, you'll see these speakers that are really designed in an odd way. Well, there are headphones that are designed like that too. So you'll see stuff that is unexpected. Now, I think the last thing before we close out this first segment of the show is for folks that are interested in finding out a little bit more, or maybe even purchasing HiFiMan gear. Where do they go to do that? Is there a HiFiMan website, or do you buy through a distributor or dealer? What's the right channel?
the preferred channel that I usually give most of the customers is go to our website. We do have a website, hifiman.com, and take a look at who our stores are. If there's anyone that's near you, visit your store, because your dealer can show you a number of different products and help you understand the different headphones and get a fit that's right for you. If there's nobody nearby and you really are interested in HiFiMan, then you got two other options. We do have a HiFiMan store, which when you click on hifiman.com, there is a link there that goes to the store,
Mhm.
and you can see all of our products listed there. Also, we can go through Amazon if you wish, and HiFiMan is sold through Amazon too. And some of our dealers do also some Amazon sales on there. So you have a number of different options that you can do with the stores.
Great. I'll collect some of those links and I'll put them down in the notes below. So if folks are looking for an easy way to click around, just look down there. I'll have the information for you, and you can easily click and check this out. Have a link to the HiFiMan website, which will get you to the shop and other information. All right, now it's time for the question of the day, and today's question is: what is the difference between open backed and closed back headphones, and why would you choose one over the other? And to help us answer that question, or really to answer the question, because I'm not going to answer it, we have Roger Fortier from HiFiMan, an expert on headphones. So Roger, let's talk a little bit about this. What's the difference, and why would you choose one over the other?
Um, it's a heck of a good question. Basically, the closed back headphones is as what it sounds like. It's a cup on your ear. Okay, so it's like a little mini speaker that's sitting over there. Most of them are all designed with a conventional driver, okay, which you would find in any normal speaker.
Mhm.
Um, they're specifically designed for that particular size, and the fact that it's close to your ear, and there's a lot of technology that goes into it. Having a closed back on your head gives you a lot of dynamic range. That's one of the biggest advantages of closed back. There's a lot of dynamics over there, and because it's a cabinet that's sealed, you can get a lot of bass out of it.
Okay.
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 So bass, if it's something that if you're listening to bass heavy music, and that's something that emotionally moves you, is that rhythm of the bass and everything else, then most likely you're going to gravitate to closed back sounds. It is just part of that image. It is what they're recorded like. It's what they're listening to in these studios, and that's 9 times out of 10 what you're going to want to listen to when you put it on your heads. When you get into what they call an open back, the open back is a different design. So instead of having a very small diaphragm that's moving back and forth, it's usually 9 times out of 10 a much, much, much larger diaphragm,
Okay.
sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 times the size. And because it's so big, it can't operate with a lot of pressure behind it, which a closed back does. The diaphragm has to have the freedom to move back and forth. Uh, when it moves back and forth like that, the diaphragms are usually designed to be ultralight, and being ultralight, they can move very fast. So most open back headphones will have a tendency to sound more detailed in high frequencies, more detailed in the mid range, a lot of definition in the bass, but not as much dynamic impact. It
Gotcha.
just can't do it. It doesn't have the cabinet, and it doesn't have the ability to swing back and forth to create the kind of bass that someone might like. It also leaks, as we call it. So somebody who's sitting next to you can hear the music, not loud, but it's like having a little bit of the music in the background, because it does leak a little bit. It has to. It has no choice. It's not sealed anymore. Sonically, as we discussed a little bit earlier in the show, closed backs will have a tendency to keep the music very tight in your head and keeps your image very much in the center. Um, Open backs, because of the way they're designed and everything else, the image has a tendency to move away from that. It's more forward, so it's not inside your head. And the soundstage, instead of being so close, nice, if it's done right, is very large and much wider. So it's a more open feeling when you're listening to open back. So people, depending upon the kind of music that they like and how they feel emotionally when they're wearing the headphones, will determine what direction they go to, one way or the other. Because it all still comes down to the same thing. Music is emotions. And what moves you emotionally may not be the same as the next guy that's sitting next to you. So if you go to a Can Jam show, or if you go to some place, listen to headphones, and the one that makes you move, that either makes you want to dance or
That's the
makes you,
one.
that's the one you want to listen to.
I love it. Yeah, it makes me think of the concerts or the discos with the DJs and the silent disco, right? So you put on the
Oh,
headphones,
yeah.
and you can like choose, like, they might have 3 DJs, and then you can select which one you want to listen to, right? So everybody's like doing their own thing, but they could be listening to different music. So cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's exactly right. They're moving to what really moves them.
That's right. The only other thing I want to touch on is, I think the last item that might push people in one direction or another is going to be the venue in which you plan to use the headphones, right? So if you're going to travel and you want to use this on an airplane, I think open back is probably a poor choice, because everybody on the airplane gets to share with you.
Well,
Right.
it's also, you're going to have the noise of the airplane coming in. So you're going to hear the airplane, you're going to hear the engines, you're going to hear a lot of other things. If you're on a train, it's the same story. You're going to hear the clunk, clunk, clunk on the tracks and everything else. Truthfully, if you're traveling and you're going to do that for things, you want to close back, and you may want to close back that has noise cancellation in it, like some of the
True.
companies like Bose and other companies that do that, where you're more interested in hearing music, but really getting the noise, outside noise, away from you. That's really what it comes down to. And you're right. If you're doing that kind of travel and everything else, I wouldn't necessarily recommend open back. I don't think you would enjoy it as much.
Right. Okay, folks. Well, that's the answer. That is
Yeah.
how you choose between open and closed, and the differences between the two. I will say that my greatest amount of enjoyment has always come from open back headphones, without a doubt. It's, for me, head and shoulders. However, I wouldn't travel with them for the reasons that you just pointed out.
Right. And I'm with HIFIMAN, and I love my open backs and everything else. But when I'm on the plane, I've got a noise canceling headphones on.
Right on. Cool. All right, Roger. I think we're going to go ahead and put a fork in this one. Thank you so much for joining tonight. It's been a pleasure, as always, to have you. And thank you for your insight into these confusing and lofty ideas and thoughts. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Giles. It was great talking to you.
All right, take care, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. I
All
hope
right.
to see you again soon.
All
Bye-bye.
right. See ya. Okay, folks, this is going to bring us to the last segment of the show, and one that I'm very excited about because this past weekend I got to see Dune 2. All right, so I'm hoping that we have some people that are actually watching right now that can chime in with some comments. But I got a lot of stuff to say about this. Mad Prana says he needs headphones that don't mess up his afro. Me too. I mean, I hate it when I get like my hair pushed down right through here. That just is the worst. I want one that's like a hat phones, so it just covers it all up. All right, but back to Dune 2. Okay, so first off, we're gonna have some spoilers here. So if you don't want some spoilers, let's move away from the computer. I try not to be too bad, but I absolutely loved the movie. It was very, very, very good. Now, is it a direct adaptation of the book? Not at all. Not at all. I've talked with a number of people that were extremely disappointed because it wasn't a direct kind of one-to-one for the book. But to me, this is really, it's like the same story-ish, but this is, the movie. This it's a different version of the story, but it's still got the kind of the same heart of the story. But just a few things. So from a technical point of view, the bass was popping off during the movie. It sounded really good. Music was great. Awesome soundtrack, very dynamic. Now, I wish there had been more of the Sardaukar chant people language stuff. And I think I can only remember one time during the movie where they actually did that. It's that, and then they said something. I can't do it, but they do it at the very beginning of the movie, and they have a quote there. I won't tell you the quote, but that's when it starts with that, and you hear it, you're like, oh, it's on now, yeah, let's do it, come on, do too. That was a great start. So the color palette really depended on the setting. Where they're at, on the planet Dune, you get into the kind of the oranges and browns and that kind of stuff. When you're on, gosh, I forget the name of the planet for the Harkonnens. It's not Seleucia Secundus. I think that's where the Emperor lives, right? Come on, where are my Dune people at? Come on. I should have had somebody come on that's more of an expert than I am to co-host this segment. But when they're there, everything is like very black and white. Because there's, supposedly have a black sun, whatever that means. I don't really know what that means. And then all the people, the costume design and character design was just outstanding, right? The Fremen look like you would expect Fremen to look, right? They look like they live in the desert. And then you get more esoteric with the people on the Harkonnens planet, right? Gedi Prime. Thank you. Gedi Prime. Yes, Gedi Prime. They're all like kind of bald and very pale and have, their faces are a little bit different. And Fayed Rotha, that he was awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the character. So, Stilgar has turned into, super meme now. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but, he's every time Paul would do something, he'd be like, he's the one, he is the one. And now you see all the memes, buys coffee at Starbucks. He just got him there. He's the one. It's hilarious, but it's really funny because Paul could do no wrong in this guy's eyes, right? He was the savior. He was come, and the Mahdi or whatever. He's like the Mahdi every time. But I think he did a great job with the character. Paul himself, he was done pretty good, I think. Probably the most powerful scene for me is when he took over control and leadership of the Fremen, and that was a really, really good scene. Another was when he took power from the emperor, the Padishah emperor. That one was pretty good as well. But I think all in all, he did a pretty good job. Um, Zendaya, I think that the writing for the character really limited her ability to do anything with it. And she's just all like, we hate saviors and you're the downfall of us and blah, blah, blah. And she's just never really happy, I don't think, with anything. And that's just the role as it was. And I think she did what she could with it. And then you've got the Beast Raban, played by that wrestler that I can't think of his name, that played Drax. This was just the saddest character ever in this book, or in the movie. The way they portrayed him, he was a coward. He couldn't do anything right, and then he just gets straight up murdered. It's so bad. I felt so bad for him. He was just generally worthless. Dave Bautista. Okay, Mad Prana is officially information man for the show. All right, so let's talk about Fayed Rotha a little bit. That was an awesome portrayal, and they really wrote the heck out of that character. I think it was really, really good. I was very happy with that. Some inconsistencies with the character, like when he's first kind of introduced early in the movie, he has to fight, and he has to go fight in this arena, and he has to fight these 3 people that are all drugged, except for one of them. And they're all scared. Oh, maybe he'll get hurt, right? But then at the end, he's going against Paul, and Paul is like just killing Sardaukar left and right, super fighter. And, Fayed Rotha is going toe to toe with him. Is super awesome. So, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know what's going on with that. A little bit weird. And then Fayed Rotha had these cannibals that were his pet people, and he would feed them, corpses. So like, somebody get killed and be like, oh, take them back to my people so they could eat them. That was kind of weird. But it was all right. So let's talk about, Lady Jessica. That was portrayed well. There was a really, really good scene when she becomes a Reverend Mother, right? She drinks the water of life and goes through all that stuff. But I think that scene was stolen a bit by the whoever the actress was. I don't know who it was, playing the super old matron mother of the the Sardaukar, the Fremen. And they didn't realize she was pregnant, so they gave her the water of life, and of course that then awakens Alia, whatever, who becomes conscious as a unborn baby, right? And she is a Reverend Mother inside the womb, right, as well. And so this, they start talking anyway. So she's like, "What have we done?" And that was super cool, right? Really, really good. The Duke, Vladimir Harkonnen, that was good. Nothing to complain about there. Gurney Halleck comes back, and he was played well. That was good. Of course, we don't see Duncan Idaho. Now you will see Duncan Idaho in the next movie because he comes back as a Gola. And for people who don't know what a Gola is like a clone. But a clone in the Dune universe is a copy of someone made from living cells, and a Gola is a copy of someone made from dead cells. If you read the books, you'll know that Duncan Idaho comes back over and over and over and over and over and over and over. He's super badass, right? And they figure out a way to reawaken his old memories so he remembers, all the stuff, right? So he effectively is immortal through Golaization, and that's done by the Tilaxlu, the Beni Tilaxlu. I can never say it, right? So you have the Beni Gesserit, and then you have the Beni Tilaxu or something. And I think they come from the planet Ix, which is 9, the 9th planet in that solar system. So Ix, but they call it anyway. So the characters, I'm sure I've left some out there, but those are all really good. Enjoyed that. Some to a lesser extent than the others. From a plot point of view, the whole concept of the Golden Way, that was the whole thing, right? So Paul did not want to become a religious savior and cause religious war and that kind of stuff. He didn't want to do it. But when he took the water of life, he then became prescient, meaning he could see the future. He looked into the future. He could see that mankind would eventually destroy itself and die out, and there was only a very narrow golden path or golden way to follow to save humanity in the long term. But for that to happen, he had to take on the mantle, which becomes God Emperor down the line in future books, and he becomes a sandworm, and it gets really weird. But he becomes this religious icon figure leader, and he sends all the Fremen out into the universe to force his rule over everyone, so he can push everybody down the golden path. Yeah, Duncan forever, indeed. But and so that they hint at that at the end of the movie, because he forces the emperor to step down, call him emperor, but the other families, the Landsraad or whatever, they don't choose to recognize him as new emperor. And so at the end, they're like, what do we do? And he's like, lead them to paradise. And that means go out and fight them, and if they don't surrender, just kill them all until they fall in line. So that's what happens at the end of the movie, right? He has become this the new emperor, and he's going to fight huge bloody jihad against all these other royal families, and force his rule upon them, so that he can save humanity in the long run, which is hundreds of thousands of years down the line, right? So he's kind of looking at stuff like that. Other things to comment on. So I think the interaction between lasers and shields and the planet Dune are kind of interesting. The battle scenes where they actually use lasers showed exactly how freaking badass lasers are in this world, because it's like the laser shoots, so it just goes through everything, right? And they just rips everything, it just destroys everything. They're super powerful. But you have to remember, in Dune universe, if a shield, and what I mean by a shield is you could see it like on the spaceships, like a bomb's going to hit it and it hits the shield and goes, has to go slow to get through. You can remember that from the fight scene with Paul and Gurney Halleck in the first movie, saying that the slow blade goes through. Well, those shields, if they are shot by a laser, that detonates like an atomic weapon, right, with the force of an atomic weapon, and obviously everybody just dies at that point. So in normal world stuff, you never see people use lasers, because everybody always has a shield, and that would be bad, right? And there's some shields used in this movie for Dune, but you would notice that they were almost always on things that are flying. That is because shields resonate, and if you are standing in the sand and you turn on a shield, it acts like a thumper and it calls the worms, right? And getting eaten by a worm, well, that's bad, right? So you can't use a shield. But if you're not using shields, then hey, guess what? People can use lasers, because they're not going to blow everybody up. So that is kind of the interaction, I guess. And there's just a lot more lasers than what I expect there to be. One, I would like to have seen more of the spacey sci-fi kind of stuff. Now Dune in general kind of steps back from all of that, because there are no thinking computers, so to speak. I think that's what they called them in the books, allowed in the Duneverse. Way back when there was the machine war, and AI and humans fought, and there was all that stuff. And then from that point forward, all that stuff was outlawed. And that's why the spice has become so important, because not only does it keep people healthy and makes them live long, but it allows them to do things like create mentats, the souk doctors, and all this other stuff, right? The navigators use spice to navigate for faster than light travel, and in the past that was done with computers, but they don't have computers anymore. No more thinking machines, so they have to use navigators. Although in the books you find out that they still do have some computers that do that, and people use them sneakily. But for the most part, that's why one of the reasons spice is so important in Dune. Is the only source of the spice until the Tleilaxu figure out how to create and make spice in their vats, which you then come to discover that vats are actually just women, and it's really horrific. It's horrible. It's horrible. When you read about that, you're like, oh sweet, oh my god. Anyway, so all right, so that's my Dune mouth vomit for everyone there. I guess I could just wrap it back up and say, man, it's really good. You should go watch it. You should. It's really good, and you should go watch it. Makes me want more. Although I don't believe that he is scheduled, and this is Denis Villeneuve, however you say it, to direct this until he's got 2 or 3 other projects lined up right now that he has to do before he gets back to the Dune verse. And I believe that he's only going to do 1 more of them to make a trilogy, which will really just cover the first 3 books. And I think there were 6 or 7 original books written by who wrote these? I want to say George Orwell. Oh God, my brain's dead. By the original author before his kids took over and wrote a whole bunch of other stuff that's some people don't consider canon. Lots of base, yes, lots of base, plenty and loads. I can't wait to get this thing here at home and see what I can do with it here in the house with my base machines that I have here. So I'm excited for that. All right, folks, we are going to close this one down. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining and watching today. Frank Herbert, Mad Piranha, comes through for us once again. I could have just looked over here because people are like, oh, that's a lot of DVDs. I'm like, no, that's all books back there. And I've got all the Dune books. I think missing a couple of the new ones, maybe like the Sisterhood of Dune and stuff like that. But a handful of them that I don't have, but most of them I do. But like I was saying, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things. And follow here on Facebook and Instagram. And if you really want to give me a present, go over to Twitch one day and watch the show on Twitch, because I'm trying to get over the hump there, but I got no traction on Twitch whatsoever. Let me see. There's one person right now. There's one person on Twitch watching. Whoever you are, you're the best. You're the best. Number 1. Numero uno, Ichiban-san. All right, you're the one. All right, everybody. Take care. I'll see you guys next week in the next stream. Thanks so much.